All right, everybody, thank you for joining us today for the Dennison Road Bridge Replacement Project. If you can go to the next slide, Nate. Again, thanks for joining us. You can go to the next one after this one, Nate. So my name is Emily Kaiser, and I am the communications manager here at the Road Commission. And so I'm going to briefly go over a few housekeeping items, and then I will throw it over to our project managers to do a presentation about the project itself. And then we will open it up to Q&A, and I'll provide some instruction at that point of how you can ask questions. You can go to the next slide, Nate. So we have some presenters here with us who are our project managers. First, primarily is going to be Nate Murphy. He is one of our bridge engineers and project managers, and he will be in charge of this project. Again, this is the Dennison Road Bridge Replacement. You can find Nate's contact information right here. You do not have to furiously write it down, though. We do have it posted to the website, and there's a link in the chat to that page, and we'll talk about that throughout the presentation. And then we've got his contact information a couple different times, so we will provide that to you throughout. You can go to the next one, Nate. Another one of our staff involved with this project is Aaron Burkholtz. He will be joining our meeting in a little bit, but he's the senior project manager for design and construction, and his contact information is here. Again, you can reach out to him or Nate if you've got questions throughout the project. So just a couple housekeeping items. Because this is a virtual meeting, we are recording the audio and video, and then we will post the meeting recording to wcroads.org in the next day or so. We'll also post it to the Road Commission's YouTube channel if you want to watch it. You will be asked at the Q&A period to virtually raise your hand, and I'll provide instructions as to how to do that. You can ask a question that way either from your computer or from your touch tone phone. And then lastly, chat is enabled on this call. And so if you have questions that you want to put in chat versus waiting until the Q&A period to ask verbally, go ahead and put your question right in there, and then we'll make sure we get through all those questions either in chat or verbal questions at the end of the meeting. So with that, I will hand it over to Nate to give you a tour of the project.
Hello, again, my name is Nate Murphy. I will be the project manager for this bridge replacement project. And the location of our project is just south of Moorville on Dennison Road. There's an existing bridge that is over the Saline River that is in very poor condition. And we have applied for funding for this through the MDOT local agency program. Allows us to get federal funds to aid in the replacement costs. They do provide 95% of the overall project total cost, and which leaves 5% for our local match. You can see here in this picture, the bridge here is, let me see if I need to get a pointer here. The bridge here is over the Saline River, and this is at about 2,000 feet from the ground level. I got this off of Google. And you can even see in this distance away the patching and the issues on the deck. It's in very poor condition. The beams have had to be rehabbed in order to limp this bridge along until we have this replacement project in hand. Back in 2017, we added temporary supports under the bridge. You might remember it being closed at that point. And some repairs were made in order to allow the bridge to remain open. We had a contractor come in and do that work. Since that point, we've had a 15-ton load limit for truck or any kind of vehicle loading over the bridge, and that allows a school bus to go across, but it would not allow a fire truck to cross this bridge. It's just in that poor of a condition. And you can see in this next slide here down on the deck level, that's what you were seeing from the aerial. There is a considerable amount of deterioration on this bridge, and it's in very poor condition. This next slide shows you looking north up toward the bridge there, just another shot of the existing bridge. So in 2018, we applied for the funding, as I mentioned, and we are now, it takes 3 years in order to get the funding in place, get the design completed. and a replacement contractor on board. You can see here in this slide, I've turned it so that north is to the right. Again, you can see the very poor quality of the deck. It is ready to be replaced. And in doing so, we had hired a consultant, and we have put together the replacement design and plans for that one. This is the replacement plan of the bridge. We will be replacing the existing bridge with a single span bridge. The original was a 3-span with 2 piers in the Saline River. This opens up the channel and reduces the amount of substructure that we need to construct and it provides for less maintenance, less substructure, less maintenance. We will be extending to the south and to the north. You can see the limits of our approach roadway replacement that extends several hundred feet, 250 feet approximately, on either side, to the north and to the south. That's just to allow us to get the transition from the existing roadway to the new bridge. We'll be replacing guardrail, all quadrants. And they will extend a little bit farther back. The length of the guardrail is designed based on the hazard being the bridge itself. As you are traveling up to the bridge, we protect the motorist from striking the bridge itself and causing injury to themselves. So the guardrail will extend beyond a little bit where the existing is. The proposed bridge, as I mentioned, is a single span bridge for a cost of $1.6 million. It will be single span using concrete beams. They're called pre-stressed, precast concrete bulb T-beams that have significant load carrying capacity. We will have a concrete abutment on each end, and that's supported on steel piles. That creates a substructure that is has a very long lifespan and is very good for scour. Scour being when the water is at a high point. Sometimes the soil around the abutments can be washed out, and having the abutment supported on the deep foundation, the pile foundations, it eliminates the risk of a bridge failure for a scour condition. As I mentioned, it is a federal aid project with the federal part of the monies of the 1.6 million would be 95% federal and 5% a local match that comes from our funding. Here's a cross section of the bridge. As I mentioned, we do have the concrete abutment that is the substructure that supports the bridge elements above. We have the concrete bulb tees. We have four of those. The existing bridge had a clear roadway of 28 feet. It was built in 1965. The new cross section will have two 11-foot lanes with 5-foot shoulders. We will not have a sidewalk on the bridge, but we do have the widened shoulder there that would allow for pedestrian use. So as I mentioned, they have the concrete beams, and then we cast a concrete deck over the beams, and we have concrete parapets with steel railings. It's the aesthetic parapet tube railing that MDOT, it's a standard railing many times that MDOT uses. We do have some aesthetics on the outside of the parapets for visual. So then I just want to get into timeline and the detour. We have an award. The contract was awarded through the MDOT local agency program to E.T. McKenzie, who is they are out of Ann Arbor. We are currently setting up all the elements to make this begin in early March. They're planning to get started. We have a completion date of early September. This is always weather dependent, and the issues that come up in construction can be diverse, but we are hopeful and expect to have it open in early September. That's through navigating through different requirements that we have on the environmental side. EGLE, the environmental agency, has restrictions that we have to follow, including fish spawning and bat species protection. But we're expecting to get this bridge replaced by the early part of September. Talking about the detour, I'd like to say, use a Jedi mind trick and say there will be no impact to traffic. We know better than that. We know that there's always a cost to the closure of a road, and we pay careful attention to that. We try our best not to I've commuted many miles. My previous employer, I think I calculated it briefly, just around 50 times around the earth is about the number of miles. So I have many miles under my belt, and I fully am aware when there is a closure and what impact that has. Also on businesses nearby, we're going to try our best to keep the schedule, and our project is one that we believe will be a great benefit to the public once we are done. Our detour that we have is going from Dennison down to Redmond, up Platte, and around to Moorville Road. And that is the hard surface detour that we are posting. We will have barriers that keep people from entering the work zone, and we will post sign detour around here. We are communicating with the local other agencies, including the city of Milan. This summer, they will be doing a project on Platte here in this segment, where they will be doing a mill and fill, which is they take the top surface of the pavement off and repave it. That project will have a somewhat short duration and limited scope, so we're hopeful that won't cause too much disturbance. And they're not quite sure what their timing is yet. They have not gone to the contractor yet, but we will continue to coordinate with them. We also communicated with the Monroe County and the Lenawee County road commissions to make them aware of the closure that is coming. And as I mentioned, this is the truck route, the paved detour. We cannot restrict people from using the local roads inside of this area if they are driving safely. If they are not, then that becomes an enforcement issue. But as public roads, we cannot limit their use of the interior roads there. Wanted to briefly talk about the closure and the safety around that. We do put up barriers to close off the work area, but we have had several occasions in recent projects where public have entered into the work zone and caused issues, both safety and damage to the work that was being done. On the right side here, we replaced a box culvert last summer, and there was a local resident that was very curious and would come and watch the work. You can see this is a very large crane, and it's really quite interesting to watch, and I can't really blame them. But she had entered the work area without a hard hat and was very close to the work, and creates a very dangerous, possible dangerous situation, and we would ask that you would honor the closure. And we also had bicyclists that would come through thinking that the closure did not apply to them. We do in fact limit the pedestrians both on foot or on bike, and along with the motorists from coming through our site. We just do that to keep them safe and to keep our workers safe. And on the left here, we had an issue last year where someone actually drove onto green concrete and damaged it. It was a very costly repair. We had to rip it out and replace it. And it also caused a delay in the work that was being done. So to limit any delays to the project, it's best that we ask that you honor the closure and stay out of the work area. We do coordinate the mail delivery and the trash pickup. These type of activities, we do notify them to make sure that they are aware of the closure, and we'll coordinate that. I do not believe there's any within the work zone for this bridge, but we do let them know just for coordination items so that they know their routes will need to be changed. I mentioned the pedestrians and bicycles. And then for any of the locations where the bridge work has caused, it extends into anyone's personal property yard, restoration will be done to make sure that the grass is growing and we have that all back to the way it was. So this is the contact information for me. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm happy to fill you in or give you updates. We do have a project website that will describe and give updates for the work that's being done. And you can visit that from our website at wcroads.org, and or you can subscribe to that. I believe Emily can speak to that further. But that's all that I have, Emily.
Okay, thanks, Nate. Hopefully the force is going to be with us. We'll see. You never know with construction season. So as Nate mentioned, we do have a project page on the website. There is a link in the chat here if you would like to go to that page. And if you go on that page, you can subscribe to receive project updates via email. So that way you can still know what's going on. We try to provide drone shots throughout the construction, so you can see what's going on without violating the work zone or putting yourself or others at risk. So Nate, if you want to go to the next slide, we will go right into question and answers. So again, there are multiple ways that you can ask us a question. You can go to the next slide, Nate. If you are joining us from your computer or smartphone and you want to raise your hand to ask a question verbally, you can first click participants at the bottom of your screen, and then you can select the raise hand button at the bottom right of your screen. You can see it here on the screen that shows you where those prompts are. If you are joining us from your touch-tone phone, you can just dial *9 and that will raise your hand. And then we'll unmute people one at a time and ask them to ask their question and go through it that way. You can also ask us a question through the chat function on this meeting. And so feel free to just type your question out and we can answer that as well. I think we do want to know, Aaron Burkholz is with us now, and he wanted to make sure we mentioned just that we'll notify schools and school transportations to make sure that they are aware of the closure, especially as we get started early this spring, and then we are hopefully going to be wrapping up early in the fall school year, but we'll make sure that we coordinate with local schools. Is there anybody at this point who would like to ask a question? Again, you can ask a question either by clicking the participants button and then the raise hand button, or you can ask us a question in the chat. And for those of you who joined us late, this is the Dennison Road Bridge project meeting, and we are planning to start construction in the next couple weeks. I think right now, Nate, they're planning to start the closure March 8th, I believe. We'll send an advisory in advance of that closure, but right now that's the tentative start date for this closure. And then we're hoping to be wrapped up by early September, as long as the force and the weather cooperates with us.
Right.
Is there anybody that would like to ask a question at this time? I'm not seeing any questions, Nate. Aaron, do you want to add anything?
Not at this point, Emily. And again, I do apologize. I was a few minutes calling in late. I had an appointment that I needed to attend. But thank you for mentioning that. We will reach out to local schools to coordinate with their transportation departments so that they can modify their bus routes as they might need to. That's something that we need to become more, I guess, reacquaint ourselves with, because with the impact of the pandemic over the last year, it has had such an influence on so many things, including schools. But again, we will reach out to the area schools to inform them of the expected closure dates. And Nate may have mentioned it earlier, but again, with the current bridge having the weight restriction that's currently on it, it did allow for buses, but really would not accommodate fire trucks or larger vehicles because of the structural deterioration of the existing bridge. So certainly looking forward to working with the project team on this, including Nate and Emily and E.T. McKenzie, and making this overdue investment in the infrastructure. Because Dennison Road is an important route. There are not a lot of paved routes in this part of the county. And as such, there's a fairly high traffic volume on this road. As Nate noted, there are some unpaved routes in this area: Day Road, Petersburg Road. Motorists may elect to use those roads to go around the bridge closure. And that will not be our posted route. That will not be our signed detour route. But as Nate noted, we can't prohibit the use of those roads by the public because they are county roads. And as such, the public has the right to use them. If they use them in an unsafe manner, if they're driving in an unsafe manner, as Nate noted, that becomes a law enforcement issue. And again, if it does become an issue, we certainly can make contact with local law enforcement to inform them of concerns. But law enforcement overall, they do the best they can, but their resources are limited. So.
Thanks, Aaron. We'll do one last call for if there's anybody that have joined us today who has a question. If you are joining us from your computer or smartphone, you can first need to click participants at the bottom of your screen and then the raise hand button at the bottom right of your screen. If you're joining us from your touch tone phone and would like to ask a question, you can dial *9 and that'll raise your hand for us. And you can always ask a question as well in the chat. Again, I'm going to put one more time a link to the project page in the chat too. So if you would like to learn more about the project itself, or you would like to see some of the materials that we've shared today, we'll post the meeting recording. We've got an FAQ on there. You can visit that project page and do just that. And you can subscribe to receive those email updates about the project there on the website as well. So a last call for any questions. Again, raise your hand virtually, or you can ask your question in chat. Okay, Nate, it doesn't look like we've got any questions at this time. Just as a reminder, we are planning to start construction in the next couple of weeks. We will send out an advisory via email. We will post to social media and to our website itself, that project webpage, when that exact closure is going to start. But we're hoping to start in early March, and then we plan to be completed hopefully by early September with this bridge work. So Nate, anything else you'd like to add before we finish up for the day?
No, I'm just looking forward to the project, getting it cleaned up.
Okay, great. Well, we will keep this short and sweet. Thanks everybody for joining us, and we will let you know when construction is going to begin.